Athens in 400 BC stood as one of the most influential cities in the ancient world, a place where urban structure, political life, and cultural identity were deeply interconnected. From a distance, the most dominant feature of the landscape was the Acropolis, a massive rocky hill rising above the entire city. At its summit stood the Parthenon, a structure of remarkable precision and symmetry, built from bright marble that reflected the sunlight and made it visible from nearly every part of Athens. The Acropolis was not only a physical landmark, but a powerful symbol of the city's identity, representing both religious devotion and civic pride. Surrounding this elevated center, Athens expanded outward in a dense and irregular pattern. Unlike modern cities, there was no strict grid or planned layout. Instead, the streets followed the natural terrain, creating narrow and winding pathways that connected different parts of the city. These streets were often uneven and varied in width, forming a complex urban network where movement was constant and unpredictable. The buildings were closely packed together, creating a compact environment where residential, commercial, and public spaces blended into one another. Most homes were built using simple materials such as stone, mud brick, and wood. Their exteriors were modest, often plain and functional, but inside they were organized around small courtyards that allowed light and air to circulate. These internal spaces served as the center of domestic life, providing a degree of privacy within a dense urban setting. The scale of these homes varied depending on wealth, but even more elaborate houses maintained a focus on practicality rather than ornamentation. At the center of Athens, daily life was the agora, a large open space that functioned as the city's main hub of activity. The agora was far more than a marketplace. It was a dynamic environment where economic, political, and social interactions took place simultaneously. Throughout the day, the space was filled with people moving in different directions. Merchants set up stalls selling food, pottery, textiles, and tools. Craftsmen worked nearby, producing goods in small workshops that opened directly onto the public space. Citizens gathered in groups, engaging in discussions that ranged from local concerns to broader political issues. The atmosphere was constantly shifting, shaped by the movement and interaction of those present. Around the agora, public buildings were arranged to support the administrative and political functions of the city. These included structures used for official meetings, legal proceedings, and civic management. Their proximity to the agora reinforced the idea that political life was not separate from everyday activity, but deeply integrated into it. Nearby, the Pnax served as a central gathering place for assemblies. This open-air space allowed citizens to come together and participate directly in decision-making processes. The design of the Pnax, with its natural slope and clear lines of sight, enabled large groups to gather and engage in collective discussion, making political participation a visible and physical experience. However, the structure of Athenian society determined who could take part in this system. Only free men born in Athens were considered full citizens, with the right to speak and vote in assemblies. This group represented a minority of the total population. Foreign residents, known as metics, contributed significantly to the economy but were excluded from political participation. Enslaved individuals formed a large portion of the population and were present throughout the city, performing essential labor in homes, workshops, and other areas of production. This social hierarchy was reflected in how different groups interacted with the urban environment, shaping patterns of movement, work, and daily life. Religion was deeply embedded in the structure of the city. Temples dedicated to various gods were distributed throughout Athens, with the most prominent located on the Acropolis. These structures were not places of worship, but also symbols of civic identity and continuity. Religious practices were integrated into everyday life, with rituals and offerings taking place regularly. Large festivals brought together different segments of the population, transforming the city into a space of collective celebration. Processions moved through the streets, connecting different areas of Athens and reinforcing shared cultural traditions. Theater played a central role in this cultural landscape. The Theater of Dionysus, located at the base of the Acropolis, was a large open-air structure capable of holding thousands of spectators. Performances held there explored themes related to mythology, politics, and human experience. These events were not only artistic expressions, but also opportunities for public reflection, where audiences engaged with complex ideas through drama and storytelling. The integration of theater into the city's physical and social structure demonstrated the importance of cultural life in Athens. Despite its cultural richness, Athens in 400 BC was not a static city. It was undergoing significant changes following the Peloponnesian War, which had altered the PS. Balance of power in the Greek world. The city had lost some of its dominance, and its political position was less secure than in previous decades. However, its role as a center of intellectual and cultural activity remained strong. This resilience allowed Athens to continue influencing the broader region even as its political power declined. In the following century, the rise of Macedon under Philip II and Alexander the Great transformed the political landscape. Athens lost its independence and became part of a larger system. However, this shift also led to the spread of Greek culture across vast territories. During the Hellenistic period, ideas, artistic styles, and architectural forms associated with Athens and other Greek cities reached regions far beyond their original boundaries. Athens itself became a symbol of education and cultural tradition, maintaining its importance as a center of learning. Under Roman rule, Athens entered a new phase. The Romans admired Greek culture and invested in the preservation and development of the city. New buildings were constructed, often incorporating Roman architectural elements while respecting existing Greek structures. This created a layered urban environment where different historical influences coexisted. Athens became known as a center for education, attracting students from across the Roman Empire who came to study philosophy, rhetoric, and other disciplines. Public spaces were expanded, and infrastructure improvements contributed to the city's continued relevance. With the transition to the Byzantine Empire, Athens experienced a gradual decline in political importance. The city remained inhabited, but its role within the empire was limited. Many ancient buildings were repurposed, reflecting changes in religious and cultural practices. The Parthenon, once a temple dedicated to Athena, was converted into a Christian church. This transformation marked a shift in the symbolic meaning of the city's most iconic structure. Over time, Athens became a smaller and less prominent urban center, though its historical legacy remained visible. During the Ottoman period, Athens continued to exist as a functioning city, but without major political or economic significance. The urban landscape evolved slowly, with new elements introduced alongside older structures. Some ancient monuments were damaged or neglected, while others were adapted for new uses. The Acropolis, despite its historical importance, underwent periods of decline and transformation. Even so, the continuity of the city ensured that traces of its past were never entirely lost. In the 19th century, the independence of Greece marked a turning point for Athens. The city was chosen as the capital of the new nation, initiating a process of renewal and expansion. Urban planning efforts sought to modernize Athens while reconnecting it with its classical heritage. Archaeological work began to restore and preserve ancient monuments, reinforcing the city's identity as a link between past and present. New neighborhoods were developed, and the city began to grow beyond its historical core. Throughout the 20th century, Athens experienced rapid urbanization. Population growth led to the expansion of the city in multiple directions, creating new districts and increasing the complexity of its urban structure. Modern infrastructure was introduced, including transportation systems, residential developments, and commercial areas. This growth brought both opportunities and challenges. The need to accommodate a growing population placed pressure on historical sites, requiring careful management to balance preservation and development. Today, Athens is a large metropolitan area where different historical layers coexist within a single urban environment. The Acropolis remains the most prominent feature, visible from across the city and serving as a constant reminder of its ancient origins. Surrounding it, modern Athens continues to evolve, with busy streets, active commerce, and diverse neighborhoods. The city's history is not defined by a single period, but by the accumulation of multiple phases of transformation. From its origins as a powerful city-state in ancient Greece to its current role as a modern capital, Athens has undergone more than 2,000 years of continuous change. Each era has left its mark on the city, creating a complex and layered urban landscape. This combination of continuity and transformation makes Athens one of the most historically rich cities in the world. It stands as an example of how urban environments can adapt over time while preserving elements of their identity, allowing past and present to exist side by side in a dynamic and evolving space.